Yo, how's it going everybody? It's MacklinGaming. Welcome back to another video. So far this summer, there haven't been too many new video game releases that I've been super interested in. Not too many big RPGs or anything. So far for me, it's just been the Elden Ring DLC, which was more than enough. That was fantastic. Played it for over a month, I think. It's a super long DLC, and there's so many bosses and so many areas to explore. I went off about it in previous videos, but since Elden Ring DLC, I haven't played anything new, but I saw this demo pop up on my PS5, Visions of Mana, and I was like, oh, I remember seeing this at Xbox's showcase, which is funny. Like, I don't know how Square Enix and Microsoft got that deal to show Visions of Mana at an Xbox showcase earlier this summer. I think it was this summer. It might have been like a spring showcase. Can't remember. So I was thinking, I've been getting into JRPGs a lot more in recent years, so I should check this one out. And I downloaded the demo for Visions of Mana on my PS5 and booted it up on my OLED TV. And oh my goodness, it is beautiful looking. It has a bright, colorful art style, and it looks a lot like, recently Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, which came out earlier this year, I believe. So I would say it's a very similar style to that game. It's a very different kind of fantasy world from Elden Ring or, any dark fantasy like that I'm used to playing. I don't mean to compare this to Elden Ring, but it's just the most recent RPG that I played. Switching over to Visions of Mana, it's like much brighter, colorful world. It's like whimsical and lighthearted. So it's a great palate cleanser for me right now this summer. And I'm excited to shift over to this game when it releases. But right now, let's just dig into the demo and get into my first impressions of the game. So first of all, like I said, this game is beautiful and it runs at a perfectly locked 60 frames per second on my PS5 if you choose performance mode. And it's just an awesomely running, performing game. So right off the bat, I don't think I've played anything that felt as smooth to play as since Stellar Blade earlier this year in terms of just the overall frame rate and lack of bugs and hitches and glitches. Right off the bat, very polished feeling game. Now you start out as a character named Val, and he's got a party with him, a couple other friends. One is a mage named Karina. She's like an offensive sorcerer. And the other is this rogue named Morley, who's like an interesting looking cat dude with this Napoleon Bob haircut. He's like a little rogue who deals moon damage, so that'll bring me to the main element types in this game. There's 8 main element types. There's fire, water, wind, earth, dark, light, moon, and wood damage. I didn't even write that down, just remembered it. Val's like the warrior and the barbarian. He's got a great sword and he deals some fire damage with his special attacks. And I think Karina does a lot of wind damage and some other things. I think you can also interchange what element type and magical attacks each character can use. But when you have this party together, you go around, it's kind of like, Final Fantasy or Xenoblade. You've got your party members running around the open world with you, and you can do side quests, you can just battle wild enemies, and you can follow the main quest. There's a lot of treasure chests. There's a lot of items throughout the world, and it's a pretty big game world. So once you step into this one region of the demo, early on in the demo, this big old dog just jumps out of nowhere, and you essentially gain a mount here, and each of your party members gets one of these dogs, which are called Pikul. It's Pikul, Pikul. And these dogs are really cute and they're fun to traverse the land with. And so you run around, you can jump and sprint around the map with these doggos. And it's a lot better than just running around on foot, which is fine. It runs smoothly, but I feel a little stuck in the mud when I'm running just normally with Val. His animation of running is just kind of slow motion. I know you can sprint, but just his base running animation it just feels a little sluggish. So when you summon this doggo, you can just run around the world at any time and get around with great speed and haste and jump cliffs and stuff like that. There's no fall damage. So it's a very fun mount. You can summon it similar to Torrent in Elden Ring. You just literally ring a little bell. It's the same thing. They could have thought of something different, but the dog will just come out of nowhere, and then you've got your mount, and you can dismount at any time if you want to battle and stuff. So They made a great lovable character for, traversing the map, which I enjoy. Now, the main story, it seems that I've gathered through the demo, is that Val and his friends are trying to get to the mana tree. Now, if you can tell me what the whole world that they're in is called, I don't actually know what their universe, what their world is called, but these people, I know it's like a spin-off of Final Fantasy, sort of. So we have a mana tree that's apparently very important, and the characters are going to try to make their way to the mana tree. I'm sure it's going to help them get extremely powerful and defeat the final boss or something like that. It's a straightforward, classic, story that I don't need it to be very intricate with this kind of game. I just want to have fun and have like a casually fun experience. The story is already simple and strong enough for me to get into it. That's good. So let's talk about the combat in this game. I have some good things and not so good things to say about it. But the style of combat that you have is like a 3D action combat. It's similar to new Final Fantasy games, right? And so you got your basic attacks, which you hit square. You've got special attack, or like a stronger attack, which you hit triangle for. And then you've got your magic attacks, which you can hold R1 and then you select either square, triangle, and you can do some elemental attacks. So each enemy in the game can be either weak, immune, or resistant to your damage. So they'll have a little indicator, like a green check mark means weak. So you're going to be extra strong and super effective. If there's an orange triangle, it means they're resistant to your attack. So you might want to switch to another character who deals something other than like fire, for example, if they're resistant to that. And then finally, if they have a red X next to their name when you're fighting them, they're immune to your damage. So you got to really change it up there. But between those 8 element types that I mentioned earlier, you can find a way to get the advantage against an enemy. And there's a lot of fun, like combo attacks. You can do like aerial attacks, jump in the air and just keep pressing square, because there's enemies that'll be aerial enemies, and then some are just on the ground. So you can also build up the CS gauge, and once that's full, you unleash like a huge elemental attack. You want to use that on enemies that are weak to whatever element you're using. At the start, Val has got a bunch of fire attacks, and then his big ability, CS gauge ability, is a wind attack. So if they're, susceptible to wind, you want to fill that up and just bring it on them. There's also like a perk tree where you can pick new skills and like upgrade your elemental damage. So Val's sword will do even more fire damage, or you can make it do like wind damage. So it looks like there's going to be a lot of customizing, and whatever elements that the characters started with in the demo, like Morley's moon and Val's fire, I'm pretty sure you can switch up what kind of damage they'll end up doing later in the game. The only negatives I can really think of for the combat is the dodge. It's more of like a slide. You don't do a roll at all. You just like slide away. And it feels like a little weird. I gotta get more used to it. Maybe it's just because I was coming off Elden Ring. It feels a lot different. So I want to say the combat's like pretty decent overall. It's a little clunky and the dodge is kind of strange, but I think I can still get into it and have fun with it once I understand how to use the elements a lot better. So if you need to heal in the middle of battle, you've got a bunch of little items. Like candy will heal your health, which I love that. You got like little acorns and walnuts to replenish your magic and to heal like status effects on you, like burns or whatever, or poison. So there's a lot of classic RPG elements and systems in this game that I think a lot of fans of Final Fantasy or Xenoblade will really get into. Now, I played through this whole demo and got to the end, and there was a big boss fight. It was really fun. It was like a few phases, and it took a long time. So I can see how this game at first seems like an easy RPG, but it could also end up being challenging and probably pretty difficult in the boss battles. So I would definitely recommend this game for anyone who's first getting into RPGs, or they just like very light and bright RPGs. They don't want to play like a dark, violent RPG. Like I didn't see any blood in this game anywhere. You just kind of attack with swords and, do that little like PG rated looking damage. Honestly, I did not expect to be into this game this year. I did not expect to want to play this game. And then when I finished this demo, I was like blown away. This is going to be a day one purchase for me. And so I'm very excited. I'm looking forward to this new JRPG, and we'll see if it holds up and, you know, if it's a little too entry level for me or if it's actually going to be challenging. So let me know what you guys think of Visions of Mana coming up in a week or two. Leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.